All right, everybody, I am Dr. Christine, the Digestion Doc, and I'm going to do a training today on the energy cascade. So as you get started in Catalyst, a few basic things I'm going to talk to you about that aren't super heavy deep in the physiology side of things, but they're really important for you to understand how your body works, and maybe that'll bring up some questions that you might have too. But we first must talk about what is food. And food is really 6 things. Let me see if I can get the whiteboard going here. New whiteboard. And can you see that, Beverly?
Yes.
All right, perfect. All right, so I've never used this on a Zoom before, so this should be fun. All right, so let's see if that is highlighter pen. Okay, yeah. All right, so basically food is 6 things. It is carbs, proteins, fats, and it is vitamins, minerals, and enzymes. It's kind of hard to draw with a mouse, but this is what food is. And that's really important because people get confused what food really is. Pretty good O's considering. Food. So what is nutrition? Nutrition is the science of food. So carbs, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, and enzymes. And if you really wanted to talk about it in a different way, it's really about talking about gas tanks. So if I have 3 gas tanks, pretend that these are big silos. And here we have carbs, here we have protein, and here we have fat. It's important to know that these 3 things that I'm talking about are your macros. You probably heard of macronutrients. Well, now you know what they are. There are 3 things. They're carbs, they are proteins, and they're fats. You can see that pretty good, right, Biscuit?
Yes.
All right. So carb, protein, and fat. This is the direction that the body will forever use energy. It goes in this direction. It goes no other way. All right. This is why trendy diets are problematic, because a lot of times these trendy diets are avoiding carbohydrates and people are afraid to have fruit, which is horrible. It's horrifying that people are afraid to have fruit because they have carbohydrates in them. This is the kind of society that we live in. The simple truth is this right here is the very first source of energy that the body wants. In fact, you can get about 40 to 50% of carbohydrate energy to the brain in as little as 15 minutes. That's all it takes, right? So why do we need energy? Well, we need energy for a couple of reasons. We need energy for our brain so that we could get through life and see and hear and think and process things. So our brain needs energy. Our organs need energy to digest food and to do all the things that the organs need to do. That do is pretty suspect. And then we also need energy to oppose gravity. I'm just going to put gravity. We need energy to stand upright or to sit upright. We need energy to oppose gravity. That takes energy, right? We must have a musculoskeletal system that can do that. So this is why we need energy. But we get energy in a very specific order, like I said, this direction. So why is this so important? Because carbohydrates are the first source of energy. And if we're not getting energy from carbs, now we're going to be getting a deficit. We're going to be using these 2 tanks for energy, and that's not what they're designed to do. So let's see here. I don't know why that just did that. I'm not seeing anybody else showing here, but anyway, the reason why it's a problem for not getting carbohydrate energy is because protein and fat are designed for bigger things. So let me go ahead and erase this so I have more room here. And let's talk a little bit more about the role. Is this helpful so far, Beverly?
Uh-huh.
All right. Are you learning
Yes.
something? All right.
I'm taking notes.
All right, excellent. So let's just take carbohydrate out of the equation and let's talk about proteins and fats. First things first, this guy right here. Oh, I don't like how that highlighted. All right, let me see. How do I go back? How do I erase? I'm learning as we go. Proteins is the king of all nutrients. So here's my little crown, making a crown. Proteins are the king. They do more than anything. This is my attempt at a crown. Okay, you get the point. But proteins are king. And among the many things that proteins do is they are directly responsible for something that if your doctors are not talking to you about this word, you need to flee. And that is homeostasis. Beverly, I'm putting you on the spot here just for fun, but what is your best interpretation of what that word means?
Balance.
Tell me more. You're correct, 100%. What do you mean? Balance of in what way?
The whole body, so that all the systems are working together properly.
Exactly. That's really well done. It's your body's ability to be in balance. It's your body's way of checking all those systems like your blood pressure, your heart rate, what's going on with the cellular nutrition. Is there too much salt in the cell, too much salt outside of the cell? Excuse me. So the body is constantly checking because this God-given amazing machine that we have is brilliant. It's not stupid. Even though the medical model wants you to think that. I actually had a medical doctor on Twitter one time try to tell me that the body is ignorant and it needs help. Unbelievable. Anyway, protein is the only nutrient responsible for this right here, which is what Beverly said. It's the only nutrient responsible for homeostasis. This is your body's natural healing rhythm, okay? Your body's natural healing rhythm. What other things proteins do is they make compounds. These are essential compounds like insulin. Proteins make that. Okay, I'm not going to necessarily do all of these because it's going to take forever, but proteins also make thyroxine. Proteins also make hemoglobin. Proteins also make hormones. Okay, they also make serotonin and dopamine. These are your neurotransmitters. Okay, I'm just going to put neuro here. So proteins make all those things. Isn't that incredible? It's pretty substantial what proteins do. As far as fats go, and now let me just also say, proteins also, not only do they have to do with homeostasis and making these essential compounds, but proteins are also directly responsible for helping your body grow, heal. I'm doing all this with my finger on my mouse. That's why this is all crazy. Heal and repair. That's also what proteins do. Grow, heal, repair, homeostasis, and making those compounds. Wow, that's effort. Okay, so that's what proteins do. And then any questions about that up to this point, Beverly?
No.
All right, so that's the role of protein. The role of carbohydrates is only to give energy. That's all carbohydrates do. Okay, all they do is give energy, and that's very important. Okay. And that's the final thing about protein. Protein can also give you energy. Okay, they could also give you energy, but that's not what they'd rather be doing. What they would rather be doing is all the things that I just said, okay? Dealing with homeostasis, growing, healing, repairing, and making all these compounds. So fats do the same as protein in that fats help to grow, heal, repair, and give energy, but fats make their own set of essential compounds, like myelin for your nerve tissue, cholesterol, fatty acids, okay? Fatty acids. Prostaglandins, which are hormone-like chemicals, prostaglandins. Also, fats make hormones, okay? Fats also make things called thromboxanes, which are like blood clotting type agents, and so on. So again, fats make these compounds, and they also help grow, heal, repair, and also give energy. But fats do not have anything to do with homeostasis. So all this to say, to come full circle, the energy cascade is this exact thing. The body gets energy in this direction. But if you're not digesting any of these nutrients, or if you're not digesting one of these three or two of those three, you're going to have a decrease in energy. And quizzing you now, Beverly, this is really putting you on the spot. But if I have a decrease in energy, how might that appear in my body? How might I know that I have a decrease in energy? What is the S word that I'm looking for?
The S word?
Yeah. In other words, if I have low energy, I'm going to get these, and it starts with an S.
Sick. You're going to get symptoms.
Exactly. Nice job, Beverly. So that is exactly what's going to happen. We're going to get symptoms. And the key to that is a lot of these symptoms aren't going to show up until the problem is really deficient. So if we don't understand what food is, if we don't understand what nutrition is, if we don't understand what homeostasis is, And if we don't understand what the energy cascade is, no wonder people think that pharmaceuticals are the way. Okay. And I'm not saying, by the way, if you're watching this, to stop taking your medicine. You'll never hear me say that. All I'm saying is, as if your doctor is not having the conversation with you about the energy cascade, the science of food, which is nutrition, homeostasis, and the role of these macros here, then that's a doctor that's doing a disservice to you, because this is where it should start, right? Because if we're getting symptoms as a direct result from this cascade being deficient, meaning if you're not digesting these nutrients, maybe instead of this gas tank being full, maybe you're only getting a little bit of fuel from carbohydrates. Maybe you're only getting halfway on the fuel for protein. Maybe you're really run down with how you're digesting fats. Any of those things are going to create these symptoms. And these symptoms could be anything from headache to heartburn to nausea to constipation to diarrhea, all of these different things. I'm going to take a screenshot of this on this beautiful artwork. Any of these different things are fair game when you have an energy deficiency. So we must understand that macronutrients supply energy. And the number one macronutrient that gives us energy is what, Beverly?
Protein.
Try again.
The number one that gives us energy is
the number one nutrient that gives us
it's carbs.
It's carbs, exactly.
Yeah.
You said protein because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking protein is the master king, most important nutrient, and that is correct. Nothing compares to what proteins do. And that's why it sits in the middle of this cascade. So what happens is, I like to kind of give metaphors, or kind of in my mind, think of what the body sounds like when it's talking to itself as a system. And so I kind of think the conversation goes like this. Hey, carbohydrates, you're not doing the job. We're not getting energy from you. I am the boss. I am protein. So fat, you deal with this mess. I'm too busy. This is proteins talking. I'm too busy. I am the master nutrient. I'm the king of all of you. I've got this homeostasis job to run, which is more important than any of you could ever imagine. So deal with it while I make sure this person doesn't drop dead. That's kind of the conversation I kind of feel like the body has. So it is seldom that I will see. It is seldom that I will see somebody having a problem digesting protein. And that's because it won't allow itself to be too disrupted, because it's got all this going on with carbs and then fats. So any questions about anything I've done about this energy cascade and macros and food and nutrition and all of those things? Because this is where it must start, is to get your philosophy thinking and changing about where health comes from. Because at the end of the day, let's see if I can find a new color here. I'll just see if I can do that. Let me see if I can make this pen bigger size. I'm not sure if I can or not. But at the end of the day, it's all about energy. At the end of the day, it's all about energy. Because if we don't have it, then we cannot heal. And remember, symptoms result when we have less energy than the body requires. Questions?
I would only comment about energy not being confused with physical energy. We don't see the energy inside our body, which is what you're talking about. If we lack if these aren't balanced, our body's not getting the energy it needs. In our mind, we're thinking energy means exercise. You know what I mean? Activity. That was my comment on that. I think people think, oh, I have energy, but that doesn't mean the same thing as what you're talking about.
Yeah, so you bring up a great point. So we're talking about energy, how you feel. We're talking about energy on a cellular level. We're talking about energy on an organ level, a brain level, a musculoskeletal level. They're all energy. But kind of think of it like this. And you're correct with what you said. But on our cell phone, right? If we only have one bar on our cell phone, that phone does not have the energy to last for another hour, right? So think of the body the same way. If we have low energy, the body doesn't have the need to do what it's supposed to do. So if we have low energy, we might not be making all of these compounds the way we're supposed to. We might be deficient. It might be like staying at a Super 8 hotel versus a Ritz-Carlton. If we don't have the energy to meet the need, we might be failing in this homeostasis department, which means that the blood pressure might go up, or the breathing rate might change, right? Or there might be too much water outside the cell. We want our cells to have a lot of water inside of them so that they're like plump, juicy grapes, versus what am I trying to say? Shrinking
Like
grapes
a
like
ra-
a raisin.
like a raisin.
Shriveled up is the word I'm thinking of. Plump juicy versus shriveled up. So all of these things can happen that you won't necessarily feel until the problem has been there for a while. But also, if you don't feel like you have energy to go out and work out, that's a complete relevant point about what we're talking about with all these graphics here. So it all is connected. It's all about energy, whether it's energy of how you feel for the day, whether it's energy on a cellular level, whether it's the energy for your proteins to make insulin, all of these things that you don't necessarily feel. It's not just, oh, I have great energy today. It's a lot more than that. But great question. I hope that answered that. Did that answer that for you?
Yes,
Did you have any other questions on our topic for today?
I do. What's the most obvious symptom that appears when you go on a diet with low or no carbs?
The most common symptom, and it can be different for everybody, but I would say headaches is going to be up there because your body is craving certain things. It could be headaches. It could be fatigue and feeling lethargy. Those would be the primary ones that I have my patients tell me when they are dealing with eating low macros in the carbohydrate department. Headaches and feeling just overall blah.
And a person can be eating carbs, but not digesting them, right?
That's correct. So that's why the phrase "you are what you eat" is very false. Just because you put good, healthy food in does not mean your body on a cellular level is receiving it. So you are what you eat? No. You are what you digest. Just because you're putting it in your mouth does not mean your body receives it. Remember, from your mouth to your anus, it's a 30-foot long tube. Think of a garden hose. It's pretty much like that, from your mouth to your anus. One end is the mouth, one end is the anus. It's just this big, long tube, 30 feet long. Just because food goes into that tube doesn't mean it gets out of the tube. Think about that. Just because you put food in your mouth doesn't mean it gets out of that tube. And maybe it gets out of the tube and in your bloodstream, but that does not necessarily mean it gets from your bloodstream into the cell, you see? So there's a lot of different steps to digestion. There's digestion, absorption, assimilation, transportation, utilization, excretion. There's so many things going on with digestion. It's not just so simple of, oh, I ate a healthy food, my cells received the benefit. No, that's not the case, unfortunately. And the reason why you might not digest something properly is because of stress. And there are three types: emotions, structural, physical, chemical, nutritional. Emotions, structural, physical, chemical, nutritional. Those are the three categories of stress. Any sickness or disease, anyone in the entire universe, is directly related to one of those three stresses. All sickness and disease comes from one of those three stresses. Questions? Any others? Has this been helpful?
Yes, it has. There's a lot more to it than I thought.
Yeah, this is just where we must start, is to define what is food, fat, carb, protein, vitamins, minerals, enzymes. What is nutrition? Nutrition is the science of fat, carb, protein, vitamins, minerals, enzymes. It's the science of food. That's what nutrition is. What are your macros? Your macros are your big nutrients, which are carb, protein, fat. And by the way, only carb, protein, fat give you energy. You don't get any energy from a vitamin or a mineral. You don't get any energy from a vitamin or a mineral.
Wow.
Yes, they're essential, but they do not provide energy. Again, the main energy supplying nutrient is carbs, period. You must eat carbs. Well, how many? I recommend about 150 grams or less a day. Sometimes you might go more than that. Sometimes you might go less on that. I certainly am not a fan of people eating 20 grams of carbs a day for long periods of time. That's dangerous because your body needs that fuel. If you are not eating enough carbs, not to mention if you're not digesting them well, your body is now going to be in disrepair. It's not going to have the full, abundant, robust energy to heal, grow, repair. That's what proteins and fats are meant to do: heal, grow, repair, and make those essential compounds like insulin and cholesterol. Yes, they can give energy, but that's not what they're intending to do. That's the job of carbs. So that's why you want to eat carbs. Good quality carbs at that. So one final thing I just want to say is this. I wrote this down so I say it perfectly. Every tissue in the body must have adequate nutrition to perform its role in maintaining homeostasis. Every tissue in the body must have adequate nutrition to perform its role in maintaining homeostasis. And again, nutrition is the science of food. What is food? 6 things. Do it with me, Beverly. What are the 6 things? C is
Carbs,
P,
proteins,
F,
fat,
V,
minerals,
V,
vitamin.
mineral, and then what's the E?
The what?
The E. Enzymes.
Enzymes.
There
Sorry.
you go. That's what nutrition is. That's what food is. Okay. So every tissue in the body must have accurate carb, protein, fat, vitamin, mineral, enzymes. Every tissue in the body must have those 6 things to perform its role in maintaining homeostasis. And all that is run by energy. Okay. So that's where we're going to leave it for today, unless you had any other questions. But I just want to make sure that people get this main training about the energy cascade, knowing what food is, knowing what nutrition is, knowing what macros are. And I didn't finish the point. As far as what the average person should intake on macros, like I said, it's about 150 or less of carbs, 80 grams a day or more of protein, and around 60 grams a day of fat. Carbohydrates are going to be your fruits, your veggies, your sourdough bread, your oatmeal. Okay. Proteins are going to be your wild-caught fish, your grass-fed beef, your organic poultry, chicken, turkey, beans, pastured eggs. Okay. And your fats are going to be things like coconut, grass-fed butter, olive oil, avocados, nuts. Nuts are also proteins as well. So those are what the macros, those are the types of foods that link up to those macros. So 150 grams a day of carbs, I recommend, or less. Sometimes this is going to be different for each person, but this is a good ballpark to look at. And then proteins, 80 grams per day or more. And 80 grams a day of protein looks like 3 pieces of meat that look like your hand. That's not hard to do, okay? And everyone's always so crazy about, oh my gosh, I can't eat. Yes, you can. It's not difficult if you know how much protein is in things. And then, so 80 grams minimal a day, especially ladies, because ladies prefer carbs over anything. And then fats, you want to be around 60 grams a day. So that's training basic 101 here. So I can't wait to do our next call and do more teaching for you so that your digestion is tuned up and that you really are being smart and making all of this information be a catalyst for a better you. Thanks for being here, and thanks for watching this video on the replay. Thanks for being here, Beverly. I'll see you next time.